And really looking back, I realized there's two reasons that my friends didn't support me, and they're the same reasons why your friends probably aren't supporting you or your family's not supporting you. A crazy thing how when you start to make choices for yourself, it makes everyone else very uncomfortable, because in some people's minds, self-love, confidence about who you are, somehow equals conceited. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So if you remember, I feel like it was almost 2 years ago now that I posted an updated weight loss story sharing about my 45-pound weight loss journey and kind of all that went into that and how I did it. But I think part of what was missing in that story was a lot of the underlying issues that come up when you're going through any type of real change in your life. But for me, it was a weight loss journey, and I know a lot of you girls can relate. That video has millions of views, tons of comments, questions from you all, and I really wanted to sit down with you and share a little more of my heart and my story of kind of the ugly truth about some of the things that happen. I feel like I'm already gonna cry. These videos are really hard for me because it was such a dark time in my life, and a lot of things that happened that I never expected would as part of a healthy weight loss journey that really challenged me emotionally and mentally. So if you've ever gone through any type of big change in your life, maybe you're in the midst of it right now, trying to make healthy changes for a better life for yourself, and you feel totally alone, or you're feeling dismissed, unheard, or even bullied, I've been there. I totally understand where you're at right now. And I hope that by sharing my experiences and the things I learned now being on the other side of that, that you can stand strong in the decisions that you're making and be able to push through and come out the other side with an incredible story, a beautiful change, and just feeling completely inspired. Literally a minute in and already sweating and crying. Okay. Real fast, because I just need to shake off the tears and the overwhelming emotion that's flowing through my body right now. If you guys watched my house tour last week, we've updated stuff already. I told you we're gonna be making changes. Big Blue is gone. I'm now in this chair, which is actually really comfortable. New chandelier behind me. So I'm definitely gonna be doing a video for you with the whole house tour once we get everything complete in here too. But it's actually fun, just a fresh new look. I think that there's probably 1 million stories we could talk about and lessons I could share. So instead of making this a 2-hour video, I'm just gonna kind of focus on one thing at a time, but I promise you I'll be making more of these for you guys. So comment below, make sure you are subscribed to my channel, like this video if this is something that resonates with you, because I don't want you to miss the other stuff that is coming. But right now, I think the biggest and hardest, one of the lessons that I learned going through my weight loss journey was that not everyone's on your side. And that was a really tough pill to swallow. But I think the second part that through this process I really came to understand is that it's okay. It's okay that not everyone's on your side, but we have to make sure that we have the tools to deal with that and process that. And that was really hard for me. That was something that took me a long time to be okay with. By nature, I'm just a people pleaser. I want people to be happy. I want people to like me. I think that growing up, because I always struggled feeling like a little bit of the outside friend, I was the little bit chubbier friend. I developed faster than everyone else with a chest in 4th grade. There's so many things that made me really, really insecure at a young age. Comments that friends would make, and kids are just mean, right? Even in high school, middle school, things that people say stick with you. And it might not even in the moment feel like it's that important or that it's that impactful, but those are the narratives that are created that we carry through us with the rest of our lives that stick with you. So that one kid who said you were fat or that you were chubby, or the one person who said you can't sit down in that area because you're not pretty enough, any of that stuff, that sticks with us. Even as adults, even though we become smarter and logically we know that that's just kids being crazy, it hurts. And it's really hard to work through that emotion sometimes. So when I started my journey, I had spent years, all of high school, even part of middle school, all of college, yo-yo dieting. You guys have heard my story. If you haven't watched that yet, make sure you go watch that video too. But I'd gone through all these fad diets, and I really like went through the cycle of pushing it really hard for a couple of weeks, and like going on some extreme, like no carb or no like fast food or no like nothing. Like I would like cut full food groups out of my diet, carbohydrates, proteins, whatever it was, thinking that that's what was going to help me feel more confident, feel more beautiful, fit in better with my friends, allow my boyfriend to not cheat on me and stay with me. All of these things I thought would be fixed by me losing weight. And every time I tried one of those diets and failed it, my sense of self-worth, my value, it was just destroyed, like really destroyed. And I allowed my quote unquote failure of a diet that was completely insane to dictate how I felt about who I was. And that went on for years and years. So I think when you see why it took 2 years to do another video. I'm also totally PMSing right now, so this is not helpful. So when I had finally hit this breaking point and I finally decided like, no, this time it's gonna be different. This time I'm going to choose to take care of myself. I'm gonna choose to love myself, even though I felt completely unlovable at the time. I had been in a 7-year relationship, and I'm not joking you, got dumped over the phone because after being cheated on multiple times by this person, they had an epiphany on a glacier and realized that it wasn't like a good fit. That messes you up big time. So when I started this journey, like I decided that in spite of all those things, I was gonna choose to love myself. And I felt so nervous, I felt so insecure. And all I wanted was for the people around me to embrace me, to tell me that I got this, to support me in the decisions I was making. And that's not what happened. In fact, it was the opposite. I've lost friendships. A girl who was in my wedding party, we don't speak anymore. And those are things that all developed through this weight loss journey. And it's because it's about a lot more than just your body. I've talked about this a million times. This journey was a soul journey. It starts on the inside, and that's the only way that you can make any real lasting physical changes. It's because you're learning to take care of yourself from the inside out, to truly nurture your heart, your body. You have one. We get one. And when you start to make those changes, things shift in relationships around you. So I kept looking for all this validation outside of myself. It wasn't something that I necessarily was openly sharing because I felt like for years and years I'd done all these diets and people were probably sick of me talking about like me starting this new program or this other thing. So I was like, I'm gonna keep this to myself. I'm gonna lock it in and I'm gonna figure this out. But I wanted those around me to just encourage me in the decisions or the changes I was making in my life. I wasn't trying to make a huge deal about it, but I just needed that support. And it was something that I was completely shocked when I didn't get. And in that time, I was so hurt. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to act. And I knew that I needed to really like dig deeper and figure out how to respond to the way that people were treating me. And I think that it really came down to like looking back at it, the reason why friends in particular, my family was great. I love my family so much. They were there for me. They were supporting me, but this for me was really friends. But I know a lot of you probably have family that aren't supportive of your goals. And whether they outright say they aren't, or it's just the actions that they take, it's really hard to make changes in your life when you feel like you're on an island by yourself. And really looking back, I realized there's 2 reasons that my friends didn't support me, and they're the same reasons why your friends probably aren't supporting you or your family's not supporting you. And that's because you, by making this decision to take care of yourself, have either changed the rules or you've changed your roles. Sometimes it can be one or the other. So I'll talk more about each of these things because it's really like something I've reflected on so much in my own life. And I've talked to friends about it that have gone through similar journeys. I've talked to all these girls in the Love Sweat Fitness community and they experience the same thing. So I know that this is true across the board. And it can either be just changing in those roles, it can be just changing the rules, but oftentimes it's both, which is really hard and makes it even more challenging. But I think the good news is we have an incredible community around us with Love Sweat Fitness. That is why I started Love Sweat Fitness, so I could find other women to connect with, so I could share my story, so we could all come together. So know that there is hope. But I want to kind of break down these two different ideas because I think that like for me, my perspective changed so much and I was able to finally have that confidence in myself that I needed so badly and realize that it wasn't an issue with me that I could change that was causing them to act the way they were. It was issues with them. So I remember one night going out, I was still living in San Diego. This was like, you know, the height of my partying, overweight, late night drunken burritos phase. Really not like a great time in my life. And I haven't talked a lot about this and I will more, but it was also a time where, like I said, I was trying, oh gosh, I'm crying, trying to find validation outside of myself, which after being dumped by that boyfriend I mentioned, meant I was looking for that from other guys constantly. And I wasn't the prettiest of my friends. I was 21 years old and overweight and had braces. Like, I felt like the ugly duckling in that group. And they kind of treated me like that as that friend. And I think a lot of us can probably relate to feeling like that friend. You might have other friends that would look at you and think you're crazy for feeling that way, but it's a really personal thing. So we were out one night and this was right when I first started to try to make these healthier changes. So in my mind, it was things like, okay, I'm gonna go out and have a good time with my friends, but I'm not gonna stay out super late into the point where I'm getting drunk and like drinking way too much and then going and getting late night food. So we were in downtown San Diego and we were at this party and everyone was starting to go like, woo, next level. And it was kind of that point where I'm like, okay, this is time for me to go. And I wasn't usually comfortable going anywhere by myself. Like my mom taught me better than that, but no one would leave with me. So when I first was like, hey, I think I'm gonna go, do you wanna come home? I got shot down so bad. Tried like, oh, you're fine, just stay. And all that like convincing that goes on and encouragement to stay and do the things that like I wasn't feeling like doing. And I got picked on, I got teased, I got tormented that whole night. And I finally just left. I literally had $10 in my pocket, had to negotiate to get a rickshaw, one of those like little cart guys, to drive me to go get a cab by myself and then have to figure out how to get to an ATM to get cash to get home. All that's to say, I think it was that moment that I realized not everyone's on your side. And it's not that they had to make the same decisions as me, but I think it was that lack of support and me wanting to do something different. And this is where changing the rules really comes in, because those friends knew me as Party Katie. They knew me as the girl who would stay out all night and do all of those things with them. That was our relationship. Our relationship was getting junk food, getting drunk, hooking up with boys, going and meeting people. Like, that's what we did together. And the moment that I started changing those rules was the moment that I realized those friends weren't my true friends. They were friends of circumstance. They liked this idea they had of what our friendship was. And as soon as any change or anything kind of threatened that, it became a big issue. I think it was also one of those things where, like, you know, all the diets I had done before, they were temporary. They were so extreme that anytime I was on a diet and friends wanted to go have a wine night or go get pizza or anything else, they would sit there and convince me, like, oh, you look fine, you look great, come on, thinking that that was like helpful, but it was really just helping them. It's what they wanted. They weren't thinking about my needs or my desires or what I wanted for myself. But on those diets, because they were so crazy, it was easy to convince me to be like, okay, whatever, I can just start no carbs tomorrow, that's fine. And I would always just jump back into my old unhealthy habits. But this time was different, and that was hard for them because they're telling me I looked fine, I looked great, like I didn't need to diet. Didn't matter, because that's not what it was about for me. It was about being healthier and feeling better because I was in such a like dark place in my life and wanting to overall have a healthier lifestyle. So the second that they realized that those things weren't working and weren't changing my mind anymore, it got really hard. Then it got to the point where I stopped being invited to stuff, stopped being asked to hang out, which, you know, is good and bad. Like you always want to be included, and you think that your friendship is more than just partying and those things. But I started realizing it actually wasn't. That's all I was to them. I was that girl that would go out and party, and that was it. There was no, let's just like hang out and chat, or sure, like have like, I'll eat what I want to eat and you eat what you want to eat, and there shouldn't be an issue. I was never pushing my agenda on them, but they would act like I was somehow attacking them by making choices for myself. And that's such a weird, twisted thing, right? I think a lot of you can relate. I know Ryan and I have talked about this a ton. He would even say when he'd be at big corporate meetings before he worked for LSF Fitness, you know, and they'd be out at whatever restaurant, everyone would be getting like the fried food and the burgers and like all that stuff, and he'd get like a chicken salad or something. He was trying to make a healthier choice there, not talking about it. He would just place his order, but would get so much crap from people around them. And it's like a crazy thing how when you start to make choices for yourself, it makes everyone else very uncomfortable because they have their own insecurities they're dealing with, their own self-conscious things going on. They probably know that they should be making better choices. And although you're not actually judging them or actually criticizing them, they take it as a personal attack. And so that's where, like, you know, the rules of relationships change, and certain people can get on board and are okay with that, and we can shift and grow together, and other people can't. This is why one of my bridesmaids is no longer someone I speak to at all. It was really ugly and really, really sad. But I think that, you know, people come into our lives for a season sometimes, and it's okay. So the changing the roles, this one is interesting. And I think, you know, for me, when I was talking about me feeling like the chubbier, ugly duckling of the friend, when we'd go out and they would all like be the ones that the boys would come up to first and talk to, or like want to hang out or make out at the bar or whatever. And that's fine. That's just, it was what it is. But, you know, as soon as I started feeling more confident in myself, I started feeling better about who I was on the inside, even when we would still get together, it made them uncomfortable. I don't think they were used to me loving myself in that way and having that level of confidence. I was always the insecure one that was kind of just like hanging out in the back. And I think that can make people really uncomfortable too, because now all of a sudden your roles in this friendship have shifted. If one friend is used to being the dominant one that gets the attention, that kind of leads the pack, like think of like Regina, right? Mean Girls, yeah, okay. Right? And all of a sudden, Katie comes in, ironically Katie, and is getting attention. Things get weird. They get real weird. And there's now all of a sudden this unspoken competition, and that person feels like you're, again, attacking them, but in a different way. You're now taking attention away from them. And that's where, you know, you start to see the people who have self-worth and self-value, and the people who only get their value from others. And it was a big shift and change in me, because for, like I said, up until that point, most of my value did come from the attention, or at least I was trying to get it from the attention of the boyfriend I had at that time before he dumped me, or the friends that I had, or guys when we'd go out. And I had to learn to like find that for myself, and to value myself, and to love myself. And when I did that, I blossomed and I changed in such amazing ways. But not everyone can handle that change. Not everyone can handle you all of a sudden having a confidence about you or feeling secure in who you are, especially if maybe it's a best friend and they're used to you coming to them to get that. You get your confidence from them. You get your security, your value, your just your worth in general by being friends with them. And even though those aren't things you ever talk about, it's just kind of the nature of relationships and what happens and how things develop over time. So when you start to rock that boat, it becomes pretty uncomfortable pretty fast. At least in my experience, it was quick. It happened so quickly before I even knew what was going on. And there was so much tension, so many arguments. And if I could say anything, I will just say friendships, relationships, family, any of that, there shouldn't be constant tension. There shouldn't be constant arguments. You're not going to get along all the time. You're not going to agree all the time. Those things will come up. But at the end of the day, the people you surround yourself with should make you feel better. You should all add value to each other. You should all be lifting each other up. And if you feel like it is a constant comparison game, a tear down game, just like something that just eats away at you on the inside and makes you feel crappier when you leave, you need to get out of that. Whatever it is, remove yourself or fight for change, because if you don't, it is going to be a long, hard road that is not worth your time. I remember getting in, I was literally sitting on the floor of Ryan's walk-in closet, getting in this horrible fight with this one friend in particular that I've mentioned, and screaming, like so angry, so upset. She was so mad. She was yelling at me about how much I've changed and how conceited I am now, which, I mean, I don't feel that way about myself at all, but just, it's crazy how in some people's minds, self-love, confidence about who you are somehow equals conceited. And I think that's hard, because I think growing up, at least for me, I was constantly like raised to be so humble, to not like think about myself that way, almost maybe to a fault, to where like I struggled with self-love in some ways because I had a hard time being like, yeah, I'm great, or I'm worthy, you know, all these things. So I think that like that was such an awakening moment for me, because we literally were like in this fight. I'm crying and she was just yelling and yelling and yelling. You've changed, you've changed, you've changed, you've changed. And at the time I was heartbroken. I was so upset. I like hated that someone thought that about me, like that I had changed. And the funny thing is now I look back on that and I'm like, that was the most incredible moment ever, because that was the moment that I realized I had changed. I had changed a ton. I had grown so much inside and out. My heart had grown so much. I grew deeper to the Lord. I grew deeper to myself and like understanding who I was and what I was about and what was important, and learned to make myself feel happy and feel good and take care of my body, and not let what other people around me thought or did impact the decisions I made. Because up until that point, I was kind of a follower. I wanted to fit in. I wanted to do what they were doing and be cool and everything else. And at the first time in my life, I wasn't doing those things anymore. And so the second that I like really realized that like that screaming match, that painful moment was actually such a beautiful one, and really allowed me to recognize that change in myself, everything, like my whole perspective on everything was so different. I was able to let go of that relationship and friendship because I realized like I have changed. Think about anything else in the world. Like we talk about some change will do you good. Like we need change in the world. Like we constantly are encouraging change. If things aren't good, change them. Yet somehow we tell people and tell each other and tell friends that they've changed as if it's a bad thing. We're growing, we're humans, and if we're not changing, we are stuck in the same situation and the same place that we've been all along. And what a waste of time. So that was like such an incredible moment for me, because I realized finally like that was the biggest compliment she could have ever given me. I could let go of that friendship. I could walk away and know that that was a season in my life, and I'm grateful because there's so many lessons that came out of that friendship, and there's a few others. But it also allowed me to know that there are also friends and family and people out there who do have your back, that are your people. And although there's a few relationships where it got like a little like tumultuous at times, because again, change is just gonna shift things. It's gonna be hard for everyone no matter what. But there are people that are your people. They will have your back and they will show up for you. And that relationship will be able to mend and grow, and you'll be able to learn how to best support each other. And then there's the ones that just have to be let go of. And I think that we have such a hard time letting go of friendships because it makes us feel like we're a failure or we did something wrong. But I'm telling you right now, you did nothing wrong. If you are putting your energy and your focus into taking care of yourself, you're doing everything right. And the rest will fall into place. The right relationships will come. The ones that shouldn't be there will go, and you have to be open and willing to allow that to happen. But when you do, the stuff that's gonna come into your heart and the relationships that will come into your life are gonna be exponentially deeper, so much better, so much more meaningful. And finding that, I know, can be really, really hard. Again, if you live with family or you live with a boyfriend or a husband or a friend that isn't on the same page of you. And this is my story with weight loss. This could be your story with weight loss, or it could be your story with anything else in life, like changing just your path in life or your career, or whatever it is. It's hard when the people in your immediate circle don't get it and don't support you. But that is why Love Sweat Fitness is here, and why I will fight for all of you all the time and for this community, is because it's more than just us coming together to share our weight loss goals or do challenges together. We're a family, and I love hearing you all share your heart and the stories and the struggles that you're going through too, because we need to have women who get us, who can support us, who we can be there for as well. It's so important. It's so, so important. And hopefully by you guys hearing this and by being able to connect with Team LSF, you're gonna have that support that you so deserve, because you deserve to feel happy. You deserve to have friends and family around you that get you, that are gonna lift you up and encourage you no matter what those changes are that you're making for yourself. And just know that any attack on your character or your decisions is not about you. That's someone else's insecurities, their fears, their own lack of self-love and confidence being projected on you, has nothing to do with who you are or what you're doing. So no matter what change you are trying to make in your life right now, the next time a friend or family or someone tells you you've changed, instead of taking it as a personal attack, just say thank you and know that you are doing something right and good, and you are on the right path to whatever it is you're fighting for. Because if someone says you've changed, they're recognizing that growth. And all I want for myself, all I want for you guys, is to continually be able to grow and work toward more self-love, more self-confidence in all that we do, and a happier, healthier life. I love you guys so much. I'm like such a sweaty mess right now. Wow. Ooh. Okay. All right, you guys, I love you so freaking much. I'm so grateful for this community. Again, if you're not already subscribed, subscribe to my channel. If you've not already connected with the Love Sweat Fitness community, Team LSF, if you're not doing my challenges, it's free. And this community is here for you all the time. So please, please, please go search the hashtag Team LSF, see what it's all about. Follow on Instagram at Love Sweat Fitness and our team page at Team LSF. And comment down below. Tell me what you guys have questions about. I know there's a lot about confidence that I want to share with you, and gaining confidence. A lot of those ideas that I had of what a fitness and health journey would look like I'd magically lose weight and be super confident, that just isn't the case. So whatever those things you're struggling with or you're wondering about, please comment below, because I do want to make more of these for you guys. All right, I love you. I'll see you guys later. Bye.